In this episode, we travel to Hans Bay, South Africa, a small community village just outside of Cape Town. It is a place where the Atlantic and Indian Ocean collide. The shoreline is home to large colonies of birds, which make their existence from the massive sea beside their rocky home. We are here to dive in that sea with the great white shark, and after a short visit to Cape Town and its historic marina, we drop in on Jackie Smith, a dive operator specializing in shark dives.
We started our business in 1995, and we have now been in the business for 6 years.
That's the one who had the bag just now.
We don't feed the shark at all. We have various methods of attracting the shark, but without giving it food. We have very natural ways of attracting a white shark. The shark is interested in what we put out in the water, and we then manage to get the shark to the boat. But by feeding the shark, you have to supply food to the shark to keep it next to the boat. Feeding is a way of conditioning sharks. Although white sharks cannot be conditioned because they don't stay around long enough, there could be some temporary conditioning taking place. And also by feeding a white shark, you could get the situation where the shark will hang on to the bait. It will hit itself against the boat or against the outboard motors, and in that way it could injure the shark.
Ah, come on, wait. Come here, man. Come here. Oh yeah, come here. Yes. Come here. Come.
We have never had accidents in the 6 years that we've been operating. We have a very safe operation, and we are extremely safety conscious. We haven't done any research ourselves, but we have been sponsoring the University of Stellenbosch in a white shark research program, which lasted for 3 years, and we have also provided them with logistical support in their research work. It will take a long time for people to get a better understanding, but we do have an educational program where we educate people coming on our trips, and because we do realize that people come here with preconceived ideas of this animal. They think of the animal as the real Jaws, and we educate them, and when they leave they have a whole new perception and a love for the white shark.
Next was the dive site itself, Dyer Island, also known as Seal Island. Home to a relatively permanent population of around 60,000 seals, and with Penguin Island nearby, it is the ideal spot for sharks to frequent. Within minutes, the netted bait drew in a playful 3-metre great white. The fact that his eyes remain clear while biting the bait indicates his passive nature, as they become opaque when they are aggressive. This is better known as the nictitating membrane. Having attracted them to the boat, our cameraman steps into a cage to get a closer look at this magnificent creature. And the question arises, why is it that the popular perception is still aggressive and fearful of the shark? Modern films still present an unjust image. Great white shark, Carcharodon carcharius. The powerful jaws and large cutting teeth enable it to tackle large prey items such as marine mammals, sharks and rays. A variety of fish are eaten. In the Cape, seals form a large proportion of their diet. Very little is known about their reproduction. Males and females mature at 350 and 450 centimeters respectively. No pregnant females have been reported from southern African waters. Maximum size may exceed 700 centimeters or 7 meters. After all too short a visit, we return to Malta and interview Malta's leading authority on sharks, Alex Buttigieg, and gain some perspective on man's relationship with sharks. Known widely as the Sharkman, He has formed part of a number of international projects and groups aimed at raising awareness and protecting the shark.
The thing came out all out of the movies. Somebody decided to write a book about shark attacks, and the book was Jaws, as everybody knows. It became a big movie hit, but it also caused a big hysteria. And after Jaws, there was a big shark killing craze.
We created it in the computer. Then we had to have an actor do a certain kind of a stunt where it looks like he's being grabbed by the shark, and when those elements are put together, it seems pretty real. We are here in the Bahamas at Stuart Coves shooting sharks. The footage of the live sharks will be cut together with the scenes that sometimes feature mechanical sharks, sometimes digitally generated sharks. Our goal is really to have a seamless story where you will never be able to tell whether you are dealing with real sharks or something that movie magic has created. We definitely put the actors in contact with the real sharks.
I've been scared of sharks all my life. Ever since I saw Jaws, you know, I knew they were everywhere. They're terrifying.
When Thomas is swimming through the sharks, he's got to really keep his hands in, like this.
It's such an extreme environment. You know, it's an immediate response. It's completely instinctive. You're scared of this bloody thing that's in the water, you know.
Absolutely no desire at all to go be with the real sharks. Don't want to be with the real sharks. Don't want to see them. I don't want to hear about them.
You could not study the shark and not end up liking it, or just thinking how magnificent it is and how amazing they are.
And they are really nature's perfect creation. They never sleep, they never stop moving, they don't get many diseases, they just keep going, and they have no natural predators. And when they look at a human and think that it's maybe a seal or a dolphin, they can come at you. I challenge anybody to tell me what is real, what is not. We had a couple of close calls where the sharks bumped actors or the crew members, and it taught us to be very careful.
We took the approach of like, let's recreate the shark. So we basically have tried to mimic the entire shark in one piece. And in Jaws, for instance, they had pieces of sharks. They had a head, they had a side. And here we are 20 years later, technology, everything's advanced incredibly.
She's sleeping like a baby.
The shark actually swims on its own. Inside is much more akin to aerospace technology.
I still don't believe that that thing isn't real.
They are computer driven so that their actions in the water are completely natural. They've been modeled after actual footage of mako sharks swimming in the waters.
Right here we have a very typical scene for Deep Blue Sea, which is basically a shark eating a person, like this. We couldn't do it even with the animatronic shark, not to even mention a real shark, because they are really hard to train to be gentle. So we created it in the computer. Then we had to have an actor do a certain kind of a stunt where it looks like he's being grabbed by the shark, and when those elements are put together, it seems pretty real.
But this guy is Mr. Stunt Guy.
The thing came out all out of the movies. Somebody decided to write a book about shark attacks, and the book was Jaws, as everybody knows. It became a big movie hit, but it also caused a big hysteria. And after Jaws, there was a big shark-killing craze. Not many people know, but the same author that wrote Jaws 25, 30 years ago, now has, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 years ago, has written another book. And in this book, he goes on facts, not fiction. And he also admits that if he knew a quarter of what he knows today about sharks, he would never have written Jaws, because he feels very guilty about the image that that movie put on sharks in general. To give you an example, every year there are less than 10 deaths resulting from shark attacks. Number of attacks are always in the region of 70 or 80 per year worldwide. Okay? Now, let's see the difference. In Australia, there is a small octopus, and this octopus is very small. It doesn't grow more than half a meter in size. And this is called the blue ring octopus. And each year in Australia, only about 30 people die from this octopus. But you don't get it in the news. Imagine if it had to go out, a tiny octopus killing humans. People will not believe it, but it's there, and it happens. When we talk about shark attacks, or as we like to refer to them, shark incidents, because the shark is not attacking because he's hungry or he wants to eat, all right? It is an incident. Two creatures, one human, one shark, meeting at the wrong time, in the wrong moment. Automatically, people will think, do people dive with sharks? How come the number of shark attacks are so low? When you consider the amount of people that dive and enjoy the beauty of scuba diving every single year around the entire world, you will find that thousands and thousands of people are diving with sharks every day worldwide. Let's take the Bahamas and some other places where they do what they call shark feeding trips. What happens here? A group of divers will go into the water. The guide or the person in charge of the dive will take some bait into the water. The people normally form a circle. Guy stands in the middle, and the sharks start coming in to feed on what they are being given. These sharks are swimming past the divers, they're swimming over their heads, they're swimming by their sides, and not a single person is attacked. Now, some might say, is there a relation between these shark feeding and shark attacks? No. And I will repeat it, and I strongly emphasize, there is no connection. The cases which they had where shark attacks were involved in the Bahamas were hundreds of miles away from the spots where they do the shark feeding. And they never had a single accident during a shark feeding occasion or a shark feeding dive. Other places where they do other kind of shark diving, like cage diving, they still never had a single shark attack. Nobody has ever died during a shark cage dive. And those of us, like I know that you, Shaun, did, had the privilege and had the experience to be part of a shark trip in South Africa for great whites, right? There you can see that even when the sharks are coming in on the bait or whatever source of item has attracted them to the boat, the sharks do not rush in, do not torpedo in and attack the bait. Most of the time they come up very gently. You will see them coming to the bait. They just touch the bait slightly to see if it's edible or not. If they find that it's food and they want it, then they're gonna go again for a stronger bite. And this again I compare to what happens in a shark attack. A shark does not have hands. He cannot feel if this is a human or is he good to eat or not. He has to bite. Now if the shark is big, it's going to be a big bite, unfortunately. If the shark is small, it's going to be a minor bite. One of the reasons why shark attacks happen is because a shark feels threatened. You can get any animal, any creature, a dog, a cat. If this animal is going to feel threatened or his area is being invaded, he's going to react. Now, with shark attacks, we get a lot of incidents which happen because people actually provoke the sharks. They go down, they see a harmless nurse shark or a harmless wobbegong shark. It's lying there, sleeping on the sand. What do? They either go to poke it, or they go to stroke it, or they go to pull the tail. Obviously, what's this shark going to do? He's going to react, he's going to defend himself. When you see the number of shark bites, especially in Australia, a lot of them are happening from the wobbegong shark. Proof that tunas and tuna penning attracts sharks happened last year in off the coast of Libya, where a great white shark went into one of the tuna nets, and he was in there for about 4 or 5 days before they got him out. One of our major problems with the tuna penning is that when they kill the tuna, all their stuff is going into the water. Now, if they do it by the tuna pens, and if they do it 3 miles further out, that is still what we call a chum slick, which is an open invitation for the sharks to come in. Now, if we're going to have this happening in our waters, yes, the chances of attracting sharks will definitely increase. There is a triangle which covers Malta, north of Africa, and Sicily, and this imaginary triangle, it is believed that it could be a breeding ground for great white sharks. The reason we believe this is because quite a few specimens of great whites have been caught, and these sharks are still very small. Maximum would be about 1 3/4 meters. This would indicate a juvenile shark. Also, a few female whites have been caught that were pregnant. It is believed that the great white shark, which was caught in Malta back in 1987, It is believed that this shark had just given birth a few days before it was actually caught. It is not true that that shark was over 7 meters long. When you say 1 meter in a great white shark, that is quite a lot, because those 3 feet 3 inches are really going to make a change, not in the length of the shark itself, but also in the grit, in the size of the body, and the fatness of the shark itself. There was no way, from the evidence that we have, even from measurements which were taken from the actual jaws of this shark and the pectoral fins of this shark, which I measured myself, there is no way that that shark could have been more than 6 meters. In fact, an investigation carried out in Malta about 6 years ago proved this. But still, and this is something which I really don't like, whenever you read something, in the local papers especially, about sharks and Malta, they always mention the 7 meter shark. The 7 meter shark that never was 7 meters.